My husband served me divorce papers because I missed his daughter's party to say goodbye to my dying mom. When the call came, I was standing in the kitchen, holding a balloon. Yeah, a balloon. A big silver one for Kayla's 11th birthday. I just finished hanging the decorations when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something in my chest told me to. And when I heard the voice on the other end, broken, breathless, barely holding together, my stomach dropped. "Lauren," the nurse said. "Your mom. She's asking for you. You should come." Now, the world didn't stop, but everything in me did. I hung up and stared at the wall for a good 10 seconds. Then I walked into the living room where Daniel and Kayla were watching TV. He was on the couch, half asleep. She was cross-legged on the floor, scrolling TikTok. "I have to go," I said. Daniel barely looked up. "Go where?" "San Diego." "My mom. They said it's time." He blinked, then frowned. "Now? What about Kayla's party?" I swear to God, I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. I looked at him, my husband of 6 years, and tried to process the fact that he was weighing a child's party over a woman's last breath. I knelt down next to Kayla. Softly, "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I really wanted to be here for your birthday, but Grammy's very, very sick. She might not make it through the weekend." Kayla looked up with a shrug. "You already missed the last two," she said. And that cut deep. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and left. No yelling, no fight, just silence. Because honestly, what could I say to a man who didn't understand what death meant? I got on a red-eye, cried the whole way. By the time I landed in California, my mom had slipped into a coma. I sat by her side for 36 hours straight, held her hand, read to her, played her favorite music, told her all the things I should have said sooner. And when she finally let go, she did it quietly, eyes closed, one breath, gone. I stayed to handle everything, the arrangements, the estate, the will. I barely slept. A week passed in a blur of tissues, lawyers, casseroles, and cousins I didn't remember. Daniel barely called. Once, maybe twice. Both times just to ask when I was flying back. Not once did he say, "How are you?" Not once did he say, "I'm sorry." But the real slap came when I returned. I was standing in the airport baggage claim in Boston, dead-eyed, holding my carry-on. Daniel texted, "Let me know when you're outside." Not, "Can't wait to see you." Not, "How was the funeral?" Just that. He picked me up in silence. Kayla wasn't in the car. I asked why. "She's with Ethan," he said flatly. Ethan, his buddy, Kayla's uncle by marriage. Cool. No welcome home. No flowers. Just air conditioning and awkward tension. When we pulled into the driveway, something was off. The porch light was on even though it was 3 p.m. There was an envelope on the step. Daniel didn't get out to grab it. He just nodded toward it. "That's for you." I blinked. "What is it?" He didn't answer. I stepped out, picked it up. My name. Typed. Clean font. Sealed. Opened it right there on the damn steps. Read the words that still echo in my skull like a fire alarm. "Petition for dissolution of marriage. He served me divorce papers." At the door. After my mother's funeral. While my suitcase was still in my hand. I turned to him. He still hadn't gotten out of the car. He just watched me. Expressionless. I held up the envelope. "This some kind of joke?" He shrugged. "You made your choice." I swear my heart cracked like glass. My choice? My mother died, Daniel. He didn't blink. And my daughter noticed. Again. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about a party. This was about control. About punishing me for not making his kid, not our kid, the center of my universe. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just turned around, walked inside, left the envelope on the kitchen table, and went to the guest room. Because apparently that's what I was now. A guest in my own house. He didn't come check on me. Not that night. Not the next. Didn't ask how I was doing. Didn't ask about the funeral. Didn't ask how I was even breathing. He just waited. Like a snake. Like he knew I'd crumble and come crawling back. But I didn't. Because something inside me was shifting. Breaking. Yeah, but also changing. And when I finally opened that petition again, I realized something. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. This was the start of a war. The first 48 hours back in the house felt like I was squatting in someone else's life. The kitchen still had my coffee mug on the counter. The hallway still smelled like Kayla's strawberry shampoo. But the air? It was poison. Heavy, tense, surgical. Like every breath cost extra. Daniel avoided me. Which I expected. But what I didn't expect. Kayla. She knocked on the guest room door the third morning. I opened it half an inch. She stood there with her arms crossed and a forced little smirk. Dad says you'll be moving out soon. Straight to the throat. No hello. No, sorry about your mom. Just that. I nodded slowly. Did he also tell you why? She shrugged. I mean, you left. Again. There it was. I took a deep breath. Kayla, I know you're upset. No, I'm not, she snapped. I just think it's dumb that you always say family matters, but then you ditch us when something big happens. My jaw clenched. Sweetheart, my mother was dying. She shrugged again. Like that didn't register. Whatever. You missed my birthday. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Because screaming wouldn't fix 13 years of this child being spoon-fed the narrative that I was the outsider, the optional adult. I closed the door gently and locked it. Then I cried harder than I had at the funeral. That night, Daniel finally knocked. Didn't come in. Just knocked. I opened it and stared at him. What? I asked. He didn't flinch. I've scheduled mediation. Next Thursday. Just like that. Like we were discussing the trash pickup. I haven't even read the full petition yet. You should, he said. You'll want to be prepared. He turned to leave. I didn't stop him, but I did say one thing, loud enough for him to hear as he walked down the hall. She died begging to see me. You know that, right? He froze. Didn't turn around. I saw the muscle in his jaw twitch. She wasn't my mother, he said flatly. And then he walked away. Next morning, my name was no longer on the shared bank account. A nice little alert popped up on my phone when I tried to Venmo the florist who handled Mom's memorial flowers. Transaction failed. Access revoked. Just like that. No warning. No discussion. Just more silence. Now with financial bite. It got worse from there. I got a call from a mutual friend, Amanda, someone who used to be ours, but leaned more toward Daniel's circle over time. Hey, she said, awkward. I just wanted to check in, okay? I heard. I mean, I saw some stuff Daniel posted. What kind of stuff? She hesitated. He didn't name you, but he posted this long caption about abandonment. About how he's raising his daughter alone now because some people choose ego over family. I felt my stomach twist. He was setting the narrative. Publicly. Framing me as the one who ran. And sure enough, when I checked, there it was. A Facebook post with a photo of him and Kayla on the couch. Caption. When people show you their priorities, believe them. It's just us now, baby girl. Family first. Always. Comments pouring in. You're such a strong dad. She doesn't deserve either of you. Your daughter's lucky to have you. I stared at the screen, shaking. Not because I was shocked, but because I realized this man had planned this. Every step. He'd been waiting for a moment to flip the script. And now? He was painting himself as the grieving, abandoned father. And me? The selfish, cold-hearted woman who left for a week and came back with drama. I thought about replying. About posting my own truth. Screenshots. Timeline. Audio from the hospice nurse. But something stopped me. Not fear. Something sharper. Strategy. Let him dig his narrative deeper. Let him get cozy in the lie. The deeper he goes, the harder the fall. But I did do one thing. I opened a new email account. Used it to message a friend of mine from college, now a lawyer in family law. Subject line. Need representation. Divorce. Mediation next week. She replied in under an hour. Happy to help. But quick question. Do you want quiet resolution or war? I stared at the screen for a long second. Then typed back. I want peace, but I'm prepared for war. And I meant it. Because now, this wasn't just about grief. This was about reputation, respect, dignity. He wanted me to slink out of the house like a shadow, to disappear quietly and leave him the hero. But I wasn't playing that role. Not anymore. The next day, I packed half my things. Left the wedding photo album on the kitchen table. No note. Just that, the reminder of what he destroyed. And as I loaded my suitcase into the Uber, I looked back at the house once. Just once. Not in sadness. In clarity. Because I finally saw it for what it was, a stage. And I was done being the background character in someone else's performance. The mediation office was in one of those sterile buildings with glass walls and fake plants. Everything looked clean. Like it was trying way too hard to seem neutral. I walked in 5 minutes early. Daniel was already there. Of course he was. He wore a navy suit and that smug expression that always showed up when he thought he had the upper hand. The mediator introduced herself, Susan. Calm, kind, exactly the type of woman who probably watched too many TED Talks and thought empathy could solve anything. She gave her little opening spiel. We're not here to assign blame. We're here to find resolution. I smiled politely. Daniel didn't smile at all. He started first. Naturally. Said he was blindsided by my decision to leave. Said he never felt prioritized. that he didn't want to raise Kayla around someone who disappeared during important milestones. He even used the word abandonment, like I'd vanished into thin air instead of flying across the country to watch my mother die. I sat in silence, hands folded. Not angry, not defensive, just waiting. He kept going. Talked about how Kayla cried on her birthday, how I had chosen ego over family. He played his part so well. Almost convincing. Almost. Then it was my turn. I pulled out a small folder. Just a few pages. Laid it gently on the table. Turned to Susan. I'll be brief. I opened the folder. Here's my mother's hospice intake. Date stamped. You'll notice it's 2 days before Kayla's birthday. A pause. Here's the letter from the nurse who called me, stating my mother asked for me by name. Another pause. And here's the funeral program. Date stamped. Photos included. I slid the folder across the table. Susan reviewed it, lips tight. Daniel didn't look. Of course he didn't. I continued. I've been Kayla's stepmother for 6 years. I've attended every school play, every recital, every birthday except this one. Because I was saying goodbye to the woman who raised me. I turned to Daniel. My mistake was assuming you'd understand. He finally spoke. This isn't about your mom. This is about a pattern, Lauren. You always put yourself first. Your job, your friends, your grief. I held his gaze. My grief? You served me divorce papers the day I came back from burying my mother. He didn't blink, didn't flinch, but his mouth twitched, cracked at the edges. Just a little. Susan cleared her throat. We're here to discuss terms, not emotions. I nodded. Fine. Let's talk terms. Daniel came in prepared to take everything. His lawyer had filed for spousal support, claiming I was the higher earner now. He wanted the house. Wanted to freeze the joint savings pending review. Wanted to exclude me from any contact with Kayla, saying it was unhealthy. So I opened my laptop, turned it to face both of them. Pressed play. A recording. Crystal clear. Daniel, 3 weeks before this. On the phone with his friend Ethan. I had the call saved from our Smart Assistant app. He never disabled it. Daniel's voice. I'm just waiting for her to screw up, man. She's too wrapped up in her mom. She's distracted. I just need her to bail once, and then I can file and say she's unstable. I've got people watching her page. We'll build the case. Silence. Susan paled. Daniel's jaw locked. I turned off the audio, looked him dead in the eyes. You wanted this to be a trap. But I walked in with the receipts. Susan took a breath. We'll need a moment. 10 minutes later, his lawyer came back alone. Daniel was too emotional to continue. I wasn't. I handed over a printed counterproposal. No spousal support. I keep my portion of the savings. He keeps the house. No access to me or my estate ever again. And Kayla? I left that blank. Because unlike him, I wasn't about to drag an 11-year-old through a legal war zone. The lawyer stared at me. This is generous. I nodded. Tell him it's a one-time offer. If he rejects it, I'll go public. With the audio. With the timeline. With every lie. They said they'd get back to me. 3 hours later, they called. He accepted. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean. Like I'd walked out of a burning building, singed but alive. That night, I went home to my temporary apartment. Lit a candle. Sat on the couch and finally breathed. My phone buzzed. A message. From Kayla. Just one sentence. You really leaving? I stared at it for a long time. Then typed, not because I want to. Because I have to. She replied, guess it was never really real anyway. And just like that, I cried again. Not for Daniel. Not for the house. For the girl who never got the kind of love I was trying to give. The day the divorce finalized, I didn't throw a party. Didn't post a quote about new beginnings. Didn't even open a bottle of wine. I just took a long walk through the city in my most comfortable jeans, bought myself a damn good coffee, and stood by the river watching ducks fight over a piece of stale bread. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't know anyone anything. Daniel, of course, didn't stay quiet. By that weekend, he was already rebuilding his narrative online. He posted a picture of Kayla holding a sign that said, just us. Caption? We survived the storm. Stronger. Wiser. Still standing. Hashtag single father, hashtag loyalty over blood. I saw it because Amanda, the mutual friend, sent it to me with a single message. I'm sorry. This is gross. Yeah, it was. But not surprising. The comments were predictable. Your ex didn't know what she had. Your daughter deserves better. You're doing amazing. Keep going. I didn't respond. Didn't block. Didn't bite. Just muted him. Because I knew what he was doing and it wasn't about healing. It was about image. And you can't fight someone whose entire identity depends on winning a fake war. Meanwhile, I was learning how to be alone again. Not lonely. Alone. There's a difference. Lonely is crying into a pillow hoping someone texts back. Alone is lighting your own candles and feeling fine with the silence. I started working from a co-working space near Cambridge. Small, cozy, filled with other women who wore headphones and didn't ask questions. It felt safe, like neutral ground. That's where I met Eli. He sat across from me for a week before we ever spoke. Tall, soft eyes. Always reading real books, like printed paper kind of books, while waiting for his code to compile. One morning, he brought over 2 coffees. I looked up. He just smiled. Latte. 1 sugar. You always get the same thing. I blinked. He laughed. I promised that sounded way less stalkery in my head. We talked. Nothing deep. Books. Work. Bad vending machine snacks. But it felt real. And after what I'd been through, real was enough. We had lunch once. Then twice. Then started sitting together more. One evening, we stayed after the place closed, just talking about nothing. He asked what brought me to Boston. I hesitated. Then told him. All of it. Not every gory detail, but the shape of it. The mother. The stepdaughter. The betrayal. He didn't flinch. Didn't ask if I regretted it. He just said, sounds like you picked the harder road, and the right one. And I swear, I almost cried in that little sandwich shop at 9:47 p.m. Because no one had said that yet. Not even myself. He walked me home. Didn't try anything. Just hugged me. Not rushed. Not awkward. Just warm. The next morning, I woke up to a new DM request. From Brittany, Daniel's cousin. We hadn't spoken in over a year. The message? You should know he's telling people you abandoned Kayla for a guy in California. Of course he was. This was Daniel's last play. If you can't win clean, smear dirty. Make me the cheat. The villain. The one who ran off to hook up while he held down the fort. I didn't reply. But something in me snapped. Not the part that wanted to defend myself. The part that was done being framed. So I opened my Instagram. And for the first time since all this began, I posted something real. A photo. Me standing in front of the ocean, taken in San Diego the morning of Mom's burial. Wind in my face. Tired eyes. But strong. Caption. Sometimes, family isn't who's left standing with you. It's who you had to leave to finally stand on your own. Grief teaches you what love really is. And who never had it to give. No names. No tags. Just truth. Within an hour, over 300 likes. Comments from people I hadn't heard from in years. I felt this. Needed this today. You're not alone. And you were never wrong. But not everyone liked it. That night, I got an email. From Daniel. No subject line. Just one sentence. Classy. That's all. Just bitterness wrapped in one passive-aggressive word. I stared at it for a moment. Then I deleted it. Didn't reply. Didn't even save it. Because it didn't matter. His opinion of me wasn't truth. It was projection. A man angry that the mirror finally stopped flattering him. And me? I went to sleep knowing something I'd forgotten. Peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from not needing to be liked by people who drain you. The next week, Eli asked me to join him for a weekend hike. I almost said no. Then I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked, and said yes. Not because I needed a new man, because I deserved new energy. And that felt like the start of something real. A few weeks into my new life, I started believing it was all behind me. The grief, the betrayal, the digital shade Daniel kept throwing like it was his full-time job. Muted, deleted, forgotten. Mostly. But peace is never permanent when people like him can't stand silence. They crave chaos. And when they can't get to you directly, they find another door. It started with a message from Becky, Daniel's sister. We'd never been close. She'd always played both sides, pretending to be neutral while sipping every drop of gossip she could get her hands on. She sent a DM. You should probably know. Daniel's lawyer is looking into defamation. Says you're attacking him online. I laughed out loud. I hadn't said his name once. Not publicly. Not even privately outside of close friends. But logic doesn't matter to men drowning in their own narratives. Then came the call. Brittany again. I know you hate me, Lauren, she started. Nice opener. But I thought you should know. Daniel's been telling people you cheated. With your mom's nurse. What? I blinked. What the hell are you talking about? He said you spent every night in his bed while your mom was in hospice. That you sent him money. That he's got proof. My jaw actually dropped. You believe that? I didn't say that. I said he's saying it. I hung up. Blocked her again. But the damage? Already done. Because now I knew he wasn't just lying. He was building another case. A fictional one. And something in me snapped. I wasn't going to sit in this apartment forever while he erased what was left of my name. So I called my lawyer. Told her everything. She said the magic words. You want to go public? And I did. Not with rage. With evidence. But before I hit record, I needed to know where I stood. Who was really on my side? So that night, I met up with Eli. Rooftop bar. Cold breeze. His hoodie around my shoulders. He looked at me like I wasn't broken glass. Like I wasn't damaged goods. Like I was still here. Alive. I told him what Brittany said. What Daniel was doing. And for the first time, Eli leaned back and let out a slow breath. I figured he wasn't done, he said. What do you mean? He hesitated. Then pulled out his phone. Showed me a message. From Daniel. Thought you should know who you're dating. Might want to ask her why she left her mother's deathbed every night to sleep with the nurse. She's good at crying on cue. Just ask Kayla. My blood went cold. When did you get this? Last week. I didn't want to show you. I thought it was beneath a response. I stared at him. You believed him? He looked at me hard. No. That's why I'm here. I nearly cried. But not from pain this time. From rage. From gratitude. From exhaustion. All of it. He reached over and took my hand. You don't have to let him win. You know that, right? I nodded. But it wasn't about winning anymore. It was about setting the record straight. One last time. The next morning, I set up the camera. Sat at my desk. Hair pulled back. No makeup. 1 cup of coffee. No script. Just truth. I spoke about grief. About dying mothers and selfish husbands. About what it feels like to be erased in real time. How people will weaponize silence and twist decency into guilt. I didn't name Daniel, but I spoke every line like he was sitting in the room. I showed the timeline, the receipts, the funeral photos, the email Daniel's lawyer accidentally CC'd me on, where they discussed using Lauren's social media presence against her. I ended with this. This isn't for revenge. This is for every woman who's been called unstable for refusing to be silent. For every stepmother who loved a child that wasn't hers and got nothing back but blame. You don't have to go quietly. You don't have to go at all. But if you do, go with your head up. I posted it, closed the laptop, and went for a walk. By nightfall, it had 50,000 views. By midnight, 200K. The comments were brutal. Not for me. For him. People saw through the single dad act. They found his posts. They connected the dots. He served her divorce papers after a funeral? This guy's a narcissist. Why does every manipulator post the same blurry couch photos with their kids? It spiraled. And for once, I didn't stop it. The next morning, Eli came over. He had bagels, coffee, that smile that made it hard to believe men like Daniel existed. He sat down next to me. You okay? I nodded. For the first time in months, yeah. He handed me his phone. Twitter. Daniel had posted. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But dragging people online isn't healing. It's revenge. Be better. Comments, says the guy who started it. You're just mad she told the truth. Sit this one out, Chief. I laughed. Really laughed. Because now, he didn't control the story anymore. But then, I got a call. From a blocked number. I picked up. Voice on the other end? Kayla. Her voice was soft. Nervous. Hi, I saw the video. Silence. I didn't know what to say. She went on. I didn't know he lied. About the nurse. About you leaving for no reason. Pause. I'm sorry. Tears welled up. But I held them back. It's okay. No, it's not, she said. And then, I think, I'd still like to see you. If you'd want that. I didn't answer right away. Because suddenly, the story wasn't over. It had just turned a page. Kayla waited for me at the park bench near the elementary school where I'd once walked her to class. She looked older than I remembered, or maybe just quieter. Same pink sneakers. Same braid. But the way she sat. Legs pulled in, shoulders tight, head down, it was different. Not defiant. Not bratty. Just small. I sat beside her. Didn't speak first. She glanced at me after a moment. I thought you hated me. The words hit hard. I took a breath. I never hated you, Kayla. Not for 1 second. She looked down. Dad said you left because you couldn't handle being part of our family. I swallowed the bitterness. I left because I wasn't allowed to be part of it. She looked confused. So I told her. Slowly. Simply. How I'd tried. The birthdays. The sleepovers. The baking nights. The late-night calls to Ethan when Daniel was working late. The fights. The guilt. The silence after my mom got sick. And how, when I left to say goodbye. Daniel decided that was unforgivable. I didn't leave you, Kayla, I said. I left someone who made it clear that no matter what I gave, it would never be enough. She blinked fast. Did you really sleep with the nurse? I closed my eyes. No, I didn't. I sat by my mom's bed every night and watched her die. She turned away, shame in her voice. I didn't know. I just believed him. I know, I said softly. He's your dad. Silence stretched. The sun peeked through the branches overhead. Then, softly, she said, I miss you. I felt tears sting, but I held them. I miss you too. We sat like that for a long time. Two people with shattered timelines and mismatched memories, trying to build something new from old pieces. She pulled something from her backpack. A photo. Us. From 2 years ago. Halloween. She was Wonder Woman. I was a very tired cat. I kept this, she said. Even when Dad said to throw it away. My heart cracked. I reached out, and she let me hug her. Tight. Real. Later that night, I called Eli. Told him everything. He didn't offer advice. Just said, you did what most people never have the guts to do. Leave when staying would have broken you. We stayed quiet for a while. Then he added, if you ever feel like building again, I'd like to be part of it. And just like that, I smiled. Not out of relief. Not out of victory. Just peace. A few days later, I received one last email. From Daniel. Subject line. I saw the video. You win. No body text. Nothing else. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because it wasn't about winning. It was about finally walking away from a table where love had to be earned like tips. I posted one final video. Short. Honest. Final. Just me on a walk, phone camera in hand. No edits. I don't have a dramatic ending to give you. No gotcha. No revenge. Just this. Sometimes, the strongest thing you'll ever do is choose yourself, even when it makes you the villain in someone else's story. You don't owe anyone your silence. Not your husband. Not your stepchild. Not your family. If they loved you for what you gave, but abandoned you the second you needed something back, that's not love. That's dependency. And you're allowed to walk away. You are allowed to heal. I closed the camera, posted it, and let it go. Final question to you. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who claimed to love you, but only loved the version of you they could control? Have you ever been called selfish for simply surviving? Tell your story in the comments. Because silence protects no one but the ones who hurt you. Share this with someone who thinks they're the villain, and show them they're just a survivor who finally spoke up. Subscribe. Share this story with someone who needs it. And always remember, choosing peace is not weakness. It's power, and it's yours.